Let's talk about something that's become way too normal in our culture. Sleeping pills. I mean, really. Just think about how many times you've heard someone say, "I just take a little something to help me sleep." Like it's no big deal. Maybe you've said it yourself. Maybe you've reached for that bottle on a night when your thoughts wouldn't stop spinning or your body just wouldn't settle. And hey, no judgment. We've all been there. We've all had nights where sleep felt like this far-off thing we couldn't reach. And the idea of taking something to knock us out just seemed like the only option. But here's the thing. No one really tells you. Sleeping pills come at a cost. And I'm not just talking about side effects or dependency or what's written on the warning label. I'm talking about what they actually do to your sleep. Because the truth is, most sleep medications don't give you real sleep. They sedate you. They knock you out. They dull your brain activity. But they don't allow your body to go through its natural sleep cycles. The deep sleep, the REM, the brain cleanup, the hormone balancing, the healing that happens when you sleep the way your body was designed to. And over time, that kind of artificial sleep, or more accurately, unconsciousness, starts to wear on you. You might think you're getting your 8 hours. You might even feel like you slept through the night. But if you wake up still feeling groggy, still feeling foggy, still feeling disconnected from yourself, that's a red flag. That's your body telling you, hey, this isn't real rest. One of the biggest misconceptions about sleep medications is that they're fixing the problem. But more often than not, they're just masking the symptom. You're not falling asleep more naturally. You're being chemically shut down. And while that might sound harsh, it's important to name it, because if we don't name it, we can't change it. We can't move towards something better. Let's look at the science for a second. Most prescription sleep meds, the ones in the benzodiazepine or Z-drug categories, work by targeting the same receptors in the brain that are involved with anxiety. They essentially slow down your nervous system. That's why people feel calm, drowsy, relaxed. But in doing so, they also interfere with the parts of your brain responsible for memory consolidation, emotional processing, and even cellular repair. You might be asleep, technically, but your brain isn't doing the important behind-the-scenes work it's supposed to. And that's why people who take sleep meds long-term often experience things like brain fog, memory issues, even mood swings. Their brains are being sedated night after night without the opportunity to truly reboot. And let's not even get into the tolerance factor. Because with most sleep meds, the more you use them, the less effective they become. Your body adapts. You end up needing a higher dose to get the same effect. And before you know it, something that started as a once-in-a-while solution becomes a nightly dependency. You tell yourself, I can't sleep without it. And eventually, that becomes your reality. And the worst part? When you try to stop, when you try to go a night without it, your sleep is even worse. Not because your insomnia got worse, but because your body is now trying to figure out how to sleep on its own again after being chemically bypassed for weeks or months or years. And that withdrawal period, it's brutal. Restlessness, anxiety, rebound insomnia, vivid dreams, even panic attacks. I've seen people go through it, and it's heartbreaking, because they didn't realize what they were signing up for. They were just trying to sleep. They were just trying to feel better. And that's why this conversation is so important, because you deserve to know what you're really putting into your body. You deserve to understand how it's impacting your long-term health. And most importantly, you deserve to believe that there's another way, a gentler way, a way that actually honors your body's design instead of suppressing it. And listen, I'm not saying medication is evil or that no one should ever use it. There are situations, trauma, acute crises, medical conditions, where short-term pharmaceutical support can be helpful, even necessary. But what I am saying is that it should never be the first solution. It should never be the only solution. And it should never be a replacement for understanding what your body is really asking for. Because most of the time, when you can't sleep, your body isn't broken. It's overwhelmed, it's overstimulated, it's stuck in alert mode, and knocking it out with a pill doesn't solve that, it just silences it. But what if instead of silencing your body, you started listening to it? What if instead of shutting it down, you helped it calm down? What if you gave it what it actually needed? Safety, stillness, rhythm, support, so it could find its way back to rest naturally. That's the journey we're on here. And I know it's not always easy. I know it can feel scary to imagine giving up the one thing that works. But I promise you, your body is capable, more than capable. It remembers how to sleep, and the more you learn about how sleep medications impact your system, the more honest you are with yourself about the trade-offs, the more empowered you'll be to try a new path, a slower path, a more sustainable path, one where sleep isn't forced, but welcomed. That's what we're going to keep exploring, step by step, starting right here. Let's keep going, because this conversation gets deeper than most people realize. We've already talked about how sleep medications don't give you natural sleep. They sedate you. But what does that really mean over time? What happens to your brain, to your body, to your sense of self when night after night you're not entering that natural, restorative sleep cycle your body was designed to move through? Here's the truth that no one tells you in the little pamphlet at the pharmacy. Long-term use of sleeping pills can actually rob you of the very thing you're chasing: rest. You may feel like you're solving the problem, but what's really happening is that your sleep architecture, the structure and sequence of your sleep cycles, gets disrupted. You might fall asleep faster, sure. You might stay asleep longer, but you're missing the depth. You're missing the quality. It's like painting over mold on a wall. It looks okay from a distance, but underneath, nothing's really fixed. Your body still wakes up tired, your brain still feels foggy, you still walk through your days in a kind of haze, and the worst part is, it becomes normal. You start thinking that's just how life feels. That constant low-level exhaustion, that short fuse, that sense that you're dragging yourself through your own day. But it's not normal. It's not how life is supposed to feel. It's how life feels when your brain hasn't had the chance to recharge. Night after night after night. Let's talk about REM sleep, because this is one of the most important stages of the sleep cycle and one of the first to get affected by medications. REM is where your brain processes emotions, stores memories, and sorts through the experiences of the day. It's where your dreams happen. It's where your nervous system resets, and it's crucial for mental health. When you miss REM sleep, you don't just feel tired. You feel off. You feel anxious. You feel down. You feel disconnected. And sleeping pills, especially the common ones, suppress REM sleep. So over time, your emotional bandwidth shrinks. Your ability to cope gets smaller. You might start snapping at people you love. You might feel more reactive, more weepy, more numb. You might think you're just stressed or just getting older. But in reality, Your brain is quietly starving for restoration. And here's something that really blew my mind when I first learned it. Chronic REM suppression has been linked to depression. Like, not just low mood, but actual clinical depression. Your brain needs that nightly time to clean up emotional residue, to clear out the mental clutter. When that doesn't happen, those feelings start to build. They start to weigh you down. And it's not just mental health. There are physical consequences too. When your sleep is chemically altered, your immune system doesn't function the way it should. You get sick more easily. You recover more slowly. Your inflammation levels rise. And long-term inflammation is linked to everything from heart disease to diabetes to brain aging. And speaking of the brain, studies have shown that long-term use of sleep aids, especially benzodiazepines, may increase the risk of cognitive decline later in life. Memory loss, attention issues, even early-onset dementia. I know that sounds scary, and I'm not here to freak you out, but I am here to be honest, because this isn't the stuff you hear in those soothing TV commercials. You know, the ones, the calm voice, the person curling up in bed, while soft music plays, the promise of a better night's sleep. They don't show you the grogginess the next day, the headaches, the dependence, the way your sleep gets worse the second you try to stop. They don't show the long-term picture, the way your body slowly forgets how to sleep on its own. And maybe the most heartbreaking thing is that most people start taking sleep meds because they're desperate, because they just want one good night, because their thoughts won't shut off, because they're scared of the dark, not literally but emotionally. And they're told that a pill is the answer, that this little thing will take the edge off, that it's harmless, that it's safe. And maybe for a night or two, it is. But when one night turns into every night, when you can't imagine sleeping without it, when your brain forgets how to calm down on its own, that's not harmless. That's not healing. That's not the life you deserve. And look, I know this might feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, okay, so what now? What do I do instead? And we're going to get there. We're going to talk about natural tools, real rhythms, ways to rewire your relationship with sleep. But right now, I just want you to pause, to really let this sink in, because awareness is the first step. Once you start seeing the truth, once you really understand what these meds are doing and not doing, you open the door to change. And that change doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to quit cold turkey or go off the grid or throw out everything in your medicine cabinet tonight. But you can start asking questions. You can start listening to your body in a different way. You can start exploring options that support your sleep instead of suppressing it. Because here's what I believe with everything in me. Your body wants to heal. It wants to sleep. It wants to find its rhythm again. And when you give it the right conditions, it remembers. It always remembers. So don't let anyone, not a commercial, not a culture of hustle, not even that little voice in your head that says, this is just the way I am, convince you that you're broken. You're not broken. You're just tired. And there's a way out of that tiredness that doesn't require shutting yourself down. There's a way that feels lighter, clearer, more alive. And it starts with seeing clearly, with pulling back the curtain, with naming what's really going on. That's what this part of the journey is about. It's not about shame. It's not about guilt. It's about waking up in every sense of the word and saying, there has to be a better way. And trust me, there is. Let's talk about something that's even more subtle, but maybe even more dangerous. than all the physical side effects of sleep medications. Let's talk about what these pills do to your relationship with your own body. Because here's what I've seen over and over again. Someone starts taking something to help them sleep. Maybe just once or twice a week at first. And they feel relieved, right? Like finally they've found something that gives them a break. But slowly, quietly, the belief starts to shift. It's no longer, this pill helps me sleep. It becomes, I can't sleep without this pill. And that shift might sound small, but it's huge. Because now, without realizing it, you've outsourced your trust. You've handed over your rest, this deeply natural, deeply human rhythm, to something outside of you. And that erodes something really precious, your confidence in your own body, your ability to believe that you're capable of sleep, that your body still remembers how, that you don't have to force or control or sedate your way into rest. That's what breaks my heart the most about the sleep aid culture. Not just the side effects, not just the long-term risks, but the way it slowly convinces people that they're powerless, that they're broken, that rest is only possible with a pill. And once you believe that, sleep stops feeling safe. Your bed stops feeling safe. You start to dread nighttime. You start to anticipate the struggle before it even begins. And that anticipation, that anxiety, becomes its own kind of insomnia. You lie down and your brain is already spinning. What if I can't sleep tonight? What if I wake up at 3 a.m. again? What if I don't function tomorrow? And that fear feeds itself. That cycle deepens until it's not just your sleep that's disturbed, it's your peace. It's your ability to be still, to trust, to exhale. And listen, I say all this with so much compassion. If you're in that place right now, I get it. You're not weak, you're not crazy, you're not failing. You're just tired, and your body is doing the best it can with the tools it's been given. But here's the truth. You don't have to stay stuck in that cycle. You can begin to rebuild that trust. Slowly, gently, intentionally. And it starts not by throwing away your pills or forcing yourself to go natural overnight. It starts by asking a different question. Instead of asking, how do I make myself sleep? Ask, how can I make my body feel safe enough to sleep? That shift, that one question, changes everything. Because it invites you to partner with your body instead of pushing it. It invites curiosity instead of control. And that's where healing begins. Maybe that looks like taking one night a week where you try to fall asleep without help, just to see how your body responds. Maybe it means working with your doctor to taper slowly, gently, over time. Maybe it means building a wind-down ritual that actually soothes your nervous system instead of numbing it. Whatever it looks like, the goal is not to prove anything. The goal is to reconnect, to remind your body and your brain that it's not broken, that sleep is still possible, that you don't have to be afraid of the dark anymore. One of the most powerful things I've seen people do on this journey is to start celebrating the small wins. You know what I mean? Those nights where maybe it takes a little less time to fall asleep, or you wake up feeling just a little more clear, or you make it through the whole night without waking up in a panic. Those moments matter. They are signs that your body is waking up to its own ability again. They're proof that the wisdom is still there, even if it's been quiet for a while. And I want you to notice those wins. I want you to write them down, to speak them out loud, to tell your body, hey, I saw that. I felt that. Thank you. Because just like fear feeds fear, confidence feeds confidence. The more you believe that sleep is possible, the more it becomes so. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. Your brain responds to the stories you tell it. And if you start telling it, I'm learning how to rest again, I'm remembering, I'm healing, then those neural pathways begin to rewire, and your nervous system softens, and your sleep returns. Not because you forced it, but because you created the conditions for it. That's the quiet power of trust, of patience, of saying, even if I didn't sleep well last night, I'm still moving in the right direction. I had a woman once tell me that for years she thought she had insomnia. But what she really had was unresolved grief. Every time she laid down, her mind would race. Not because her body couldn't sleep, but because her heart hadn't had space to feel. And once she gave herself permission to feel that sadness, to let it move through her instead of distracting from it or suppressing it, she started sleeping again. Her body didn't need fixing. It needed witnessing. It needed presence. And sometimes that's what sleep needs too. Not more control, not more noise, but presence. A willingness to listen, a willingness to stay, a willingness to trust that under all the stress, under all the struggle, your body still knows how to return home to rest. So tonight, maybe the most radical thing you can do is not to take a pill, but to take a breath, to put your hand over your chest and say, I'm learning, I'm healing, I'm remembering how to sleep. That might be the most powerful medicine of all. So let's bring everything we've talked about back together. You and I have just spent some real honest time looking behind the curtain. Not to scare you, but to open your eyes to what's really going on when it comes to sleep medications. And what I hope more than anything is that you walk away from this not feeling afraid, not feeling ashamed, but feeling empowered. Empowered to make choices that actually serve you. Empowered to believe that your body still works, even if it's been quiet. Empowered to know that the sleep you've been chasing doesn't live in a bottle. It lives in you. And yeah, it might feel a little shaky at first. It might feel uncertain, especially if you've been using sleep meds for months or even years. But I want you to understand this very clearly. Letting go of sleep medication doesn't mean letting go of sleep. It means choosing a path that honors your biology instead of bypassing it. It means choosing healing instead of sedation, trust instead of control. And I'm not saying that path is always easy. Some nights will still be hard. Some nights you might still lie awake longer than you want. Some nights your thoughts might still swirl a little louder than you expected. But here's the difference. Now, those moments aren't setbacks. They're part of the process. They're part of your nervous system learning that it's safe again. Part of your brain remembering what it means to shift gears and slow down naturally. And every single night you go without the aid of a pill is a night that strengthens that connection, that rewires your belief in your own body, that rebuilds a trust that can carry you for the rest of your life. One of the most powerful shifts I've ever seen someone make was the moment they stopped looking for a fix and started looking for a rhythm. You know what I mean? That natural, daily, lived rhythm where your mornings have light and movement, your afternoons have fuel and calm, and your evenings have softness, quiet, and space. That's what supports sleep. That's what gives your body permission to do what it's already wired to do. And maybe that rhythm looks a little different for everyone. Maybe yours includes a journal next to your bed where you release the day before you close your eyes. Maybe it's a warm bath or a cup of herbal tea or a few slow breaths with a hand on your chest. Maybe it's dimming the lights at 8 p.m. Maybe it's turning your phone off an hour before bed and reminding yourself that the world can wait. Whatever it is, it's not about perfection. It's about consistency and kindness and meeting yourself where you are. That's the soil where natural sleep begins to grow again. I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up one morning, not groggy, not panicked, not exhausted before the day even starts, but clear, calm, present. Imagine that moment when your eyes open and your body feels like it actually slept, when your mind feels light, when your emotions don't feel like they're teetering on the edge. Imagine walking into your kitchen, the sunlight coming through the window, and thinking, wow, I slept, I really slept. No pills, no crutches, just your body doing what it knows how to do. That version of you, they're not far away. They're already in you, waiting. And every small choice you make from this moment on is a step toward that version. One less pill, one more breath, one deeper exhale, one quieter evening, one gentler thought. That's how it happens. That's how the tide turns. And I'll say it again, this is not about shame. This is not about guilt. If you've used sleep medications, if you're using them now, you're not wrong. You're not bad. You were trying to cope with something hard. You were doing what you knew how to do, and now you know something more. You know there's a different way. A softer way. A way that invites your body to participate, not just obey. And that changes everything. So tonight, just tonight, maybe you try something different. Maybe instead of reaching for the bottle out of habit or fear, you pause. You ask your body, what do you need? You breathe. You listen. You try something small, a walk after dinner, a hot shower, a darker room, a slower rhythm, and maybe you still need the pill tonight. That's okay. But you've started the conversation. You've cracked open the door. And that alone is powerful. That's how change begins. Not with huge dramatic gestures, but with small moments of truth. And you've just had one. So thank you. Thank you for being willing to hear this. Thank you for being open to something new. Thank you for showing up for yourself, even in the hard places. You're not alone on this journey. I'm walking it with you. And if this episode resonated, if something in it stirred something in you, gave you hope, made you exhale, I'd love for you to subscribe to the Daily Health Shift. This is just the beginning. We've got so many more conversations to have about rhythm, about breath, about light, about nourishment, about how your body was designed to sleep naturally and beautifully and deeply. And if there's someone in your life who's stuck in the same loop, someone who's been told that pills are the only way, maybe send this episode to them. Sometimes we all just need someone to say, hey, there's another way. You are not broken. Your body is not broken. Your rest is not gone. It's still here. It's still possible. And it's waiting for you to remember